Okay, so thank you, Lily, for confirming. So thank you, everybody, for joining. This is the first WebEx session we are going to be having this week in relation to the transportation management implementation that is going to go live next 21st of January. Okay, so this week we have organized 4 different sessions. Today it's going to be dedicated to the transportation of UN-owned equipment. UN-owned equipment. Tomorrow is going to be focusing on the contingent-owned equipment, transporting this type of equipment. Then on Wednesday we'll be talking about the transportation for troops and or their related baggages. And on Thursday, we'll have a session for Q&A. Okay, so this is somehow the same material that we used when we delivered the training in December for the end users in New York. And it was mainly practical sessions for them to do the exercises. This time, as we are doing it remotely, what we will do during the WebEx sessions, we will do a demo on the system, and then we will send to you some practical exercises that you can do by yourself and send it to us. And if you have any question, you can always contact us for guidance. Okay. So the session on Thursday, it's dedicated for that, for Q&A, in case you were not able to complete any of these steps in the system. Okay. So during the WebEx sessions, we will go through the mainly through the demo in the system. Okay. As Brian was saying, you can either ask to get unmuted so that you can speak up, or you can also make use of the chat for questions, comments, or anything you would like to ask. Okay. All right. So I hope that you can see my screen. So let's start. I'm going to be using the same presentation just to guide the demo in the system. All right. So today we are focusing on the process for UNOE. And this project is going to be implemented in phases. So when we talk about UN-owned equipment for phase 1, the one that is going live the 21st of January, only vehicles, right? Only shopping carts that are assigned to a purchasing group PD vehicles are going to be sent to the new transportation module, meaning that all the shopping carts for any other type of equipment that are raised by the missions will not be sent to the transportation module, and only those shopping carts that relate to vehicles will be managed using this module and this process that we are going to be showing to you today. All right. Okay. So let's start, and let's start with an overview of the end-to-end process. So this is the same thing that we presented during the WebEx sessions that we had, I think it was the second week of December. All right, so we have in the process, the first phase is the procurement phase, when we start with the shopping carts and POs. Then we have a second phase to plan the transportation. And we have stage for the goods vendor that relate to Incoterm DAP or the Incoterm FCA. We also have, for the planning, we can also plan the second stage that is more for the freight forwarder that relates to the Xworks Incoterms or to the FCA. And we are going to be talking about this more during the session. If we are talking about Xworks or FCA Incoterm, meaning that the UN is responsible for the transportation, we will have to get the freight assigned to a freight procurement, to a freight forwarder, and we will be showing here which are the steps to procure the freight and assign it to the freight order. Okay, and later on, when we have already procured our freight, we start the execution and monitoring of the transportation. Okay, so we are going to start from left to right in the process, and the procurement, the first phase for the procurement for UNOE. Okay, we start in SRM as any other shopping cart and PO, and we start it by raising a shopping cart for goods. Okay, in this case we are talking about only vehicles, and this process is the same one you are already familiar with. Okay, we start by creating a shopping cart where we will include the all the vehicles that we want to procure. Okay, so this is the same process: create shopping cart, approve shopping cart, and then we have the process for the purchase order. Okay, so this process is the same one that you are currently familiar with. Okay, there are not a lot of changes in that process, but there are some fields that we need to focus on, that we need to take into consideration, because those fields will trigger the changes in the system. Okay, so I'm going to be showing to you this part before we move ahead in the end-to-end process. Okay, so I'm going to be showing to you which are the changes in the shopping cart in relation to this new transportation module. Okay, so let me connect to the system. Okay, at any point, just use the chat to ask any question. Okay, so let me. I just connected to the SRM module. Okay, I hope that you can see it. Okay, and let me connect with a requisitioner. All right. Okay. So in terms of how to raise a shopping cart, is the same process. So I'm going to be clicking on requisitioning, create shopping cart. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to be talking about the things that are changing, or the things that are new and that have an impact in this project. You also have the fields that are new. Okay, so if while we wait for the shopping cart to load, you also have that information in the presentation. Okay, so if we move ahead, the next slide you have here for the shopping cart are the fields you need to be focusing. All right, so for the shopping carts, we need to be having a look at the Incoterm, okay, and the location fields. Okay, what is changing? We also need to think that the freight line that was before mandatory for shopping carts. Remember that before, if you added any line in the shopping cart with FCA or with XWorks Incoterm, the freight line was mandatory. Okay, this is no longer valid in the system, so freight lines are not raised together with the goods, and there will be a freight shopping cart that will be raised separately. Okay. The delivery address and performance location is something that will trigger the final destination in TM. We also need to talk about the purchasing group. As we said, only shopping carts that are assigned to purchasing group PD vehicles will be sent to the new transportation management module. All the other ones will be out of scope for phase 1 and will only be considered for later phases. But for phase 1, we will only considering the shopping carts that are raised with purchasing group PD vehicles team. Okay. Then the supply in SRM will be used to assign to understand which is going to be the supplier, because the supplier is later on requested to submit events through the carrier collaboration portal. You will understand it better once we complete the demo. And the delivery date will be used to calculate, will be used by the system to calculate all the different dates for the transportation. Okay. So let's see those fields in the system. Any questions so far? I don't know if they are muted. They cannot. I don't think we are that many, right? So please intervene at any point in time, because we are not that many in the WebEx. Okay. We can maybe unmute them. There are no questions so far in the chat. All right.
No, nothing at all.
Okay. Participants. All right. Okay. So let me open again the shopping cart. Okay. So this is the shopping cart in SRM. And let me open the default settings. Right. So in the default settings, we can specify the default values for all the different lines in the shopping cart. Right. So if there are fields that are going to be the same for all the lines, like for example the purchasing group. This is the first field that we were mentioning before. So only those shopping carts with purchasing group being PD vehicles team will be sent to the transportation management module. All the other ones will follow the same process as of today. So there will be no transportation planning for shopping carts that are not PD vehicles team. Then location and plant. This it's basically used in the same way we are using it before. Okay, so it's not used by the transportation management module. It's basically used for inventory purposes, right? So this location, plant, and storage location are not used in the by the transportation management module, but we are gonna configure it just as an example to send it to AMMIS, just as an example. Okay. So basically, in this screen, you need to consider basically the purchasing group. The plant and storage location are used more for inventory purposes, as we know already from the GDP project. In the account assignment, here is where we can specify the account details, right? The fund center. So in this case, that we are talking about vehicles. So mainly the account assignment category is going to be asset, right? And we are going to be changing it just for this example. We are going to be changing it to the fund of AMMIS, and the fund center is going to be one from AMMIS. So let me open. Let me open the one. Okay. So we will be sending to you the different credentials so that you can do the exercises. Okay. So you will have the different credentials for the requisitioner, approver, and the different materials you have to add into the shopping cart. Okay. I'm just trying to look for the fund center. Okay. So let me open the exercise. 1 second. You remember, Brian, the Fund Center? All right. Okay. Okay. 1 second. I'm trying to open the exercise so that we know which is the Fund Center we need to use. Okay, and you will have it also in your exercise. Okay. It's not written here, right? No. 1 second. Any questions so far? Nothing?
No, Leandro, nothing at all yet.
Okay. All right. So the SRM module is the one that by the way, we are using Q environment. Okay. It's not a training environment. We are using the quality environment that was used for the testing. Okay. Already found it. Okay, so we need to use 10.4.8.3 just for testing purposes. And then what else? Okay. So the asset number is going to be the one that we will need to generate for each line item, but the fund center and the fund is going to be used the same one for all the different lines in the shopping cart. Then the delivery address and the performance location, it's one of the main fields for transportation purposes. So the delivery address is going to be the one that is going to be used by the TM module, by the transportation management module, to understand the final destination for the item. Okay. So in this case, if we want to send the items to AMMIS, we need to change the delivery address, but we don't need to change it manually by manually changing, for example, the country or the address. We need to select one of the existing delivery addresses, right? By selecting the matchbox and searching for the different delivery address. And the reason is that all these delivery address in SRM are linked to existing delivery address in TM, meaning that if we manually update any of these fields here in SRM, TM module will not be able to understand which delivery address we are talking to, and the system will not know the transportation network, okay, for those. So it will create an ad hoc delivery address and will not be able to understand which is the route that the item should follow, okay, to reach that destination. So users should always be searching for existing delivery address, and if they cannot find the delivery address there, they should be requesting a master data change to add a new delivery address, for example, for a new mission, for a new region in the mission. So one of the, now that we are having this session with Service Desk, okay, one of the issues that the users could have is that if they don't select one of the existing delivery address and they just type one manually, the system will allow them to continue, but later on they will have problems in TM, because TM will not understand that as an existing delivery address, and the routes will not be known for that delivery address. Okay, so they should always be searching for existing delivery address, and if they cannot find it, they should be requesting for new ones. Yes? Okay. All right. Okay, so I just searched for AMMIS as delivery address. I'm gonna click on OK, and this, you can see that the system already prompted the phone, country, and address for AMMIS. I'm going to click on OK. Right. So far we have mentioned two of the main fields, purchasing group and delivery address. I'm going to add some lines into the shopping cart. Okay, so I'm going to add them using contract catalog. I'm going to be using PD contract catalog. For you to know, in phase one, shopping carts are going to be raised only by HQ. Okay, so missions will not be raising shopping carts that are going to be sent to TM, because all vehicles are procured centrally by New York. Okay, so basically we only have 3-4 users in New York that are raising shopping carts for vehicles, and those are the ones we trained directly in New York. Okay, so for phase one, we don't have so many requisitioners for vehicles. So let me use this contract number that we have, that you will also have in the in your exercise. I'm going to be using that contract number, and here I have 3 examples of vehicles, and I'm going to be adding one of each. And here you can see that we have one using DAP Incoterm, another one using XWorks Incoterm, and the third one using FCA. So DAP, when we talk about DAP, the vendor, in this case Nissan, is sending the vehicle directly to the mission. So the Nissan is responsible for transporting the vehicle to the mission. If we talk about XWorks, in this case, it's UN responsible for the whole transportation. So UN will go to the Nissan factory to pick up the vehicle. And if we talk about FCA, in here we have 2 different phases. So it's where we have the Incoterm location, meaning that Nissan will need or will be responsible for transporting the vehicle up to the Incoterm location, up to Durban Port, and from Durban Port onwards, from Durban Port to the mission, is going to be UN responsible for transporting the vehicle. Okay. So let me add those 3 items into the shopping cart and do the checkout. Okay. So I'm just adding those 3 items. Any question regarding the Incoterms and the concepts for DAP XWorks? Because depending on the Incoterm, that will have an impact later on in transportation, right? So if we are talking about DAP, that we said Nissan was responsible for the whole transportation, in those cases we will not need any freight forwarder. Nissan will do the transportation entirely, and Nissan will be the one submitting the events for the loading, for the custom clearances, and so on, directly in the CCP. Okay. All right. So here we have our 3 lines, and we need to specify the details for each line. Okay. So in the first case, we are talking about the forklift. So let me click on details. Okay. So in here I have the details. So for the forklift, okay, delivery date. This is another field that we mentioned before that was important, because the delivery date is the date in which the vendor has to give the items, okay, to UN. So it's the date in which the vehicles will be handed over, right, from the vendor to the UN. So if we are talking about DAP, meaning that Nissan will send the items to AMIS, this day will be the one in which the vehicles will arrive to the mission. Okay, if we are talking about DAP, sorry, if we are talking about Xworks, that UN has to go to pick the vehicles from the factory, that will be the date in which the UN will take over the vehicles. Okay, so this delivery date means a different thing, but it's always when the vehicles are handed over to UN from the manufacturer to UN. For the forklift, let's go back to our cover page. So forklift, it's Xworks, right? So for the forklift, we are talking about Xworks Yokohama. So let's complete the Incoterm. So this Incoterm location should come automatically from the contract catalog, all right? And specifying the Incoterm and the location, and the location, this location that is related to the Incoterm. In the queue environment, we cannot see it yet, but in production, okay, for the 21st of January, it will not be free text as you can see it now. Okay, so right now it's free text, but it will not be like that in production. They will need to select it from a drop down or by using a matchbox, so that they cannot do mistakes here and type anything manually. So the location for the Incoterm will be a drop down list. Okay. All right, so let's also change the delivery date, let's say to, for example, February. Okay, so in the case of Xworks Yokohama port, this date means when Nissan will make available those vehicles at Yokohama port, so that UN can take over and arrange the final transportation from Yokohama port to AMBIS. Okay. All right. What else? In the account assignment, we already have the. Let me click on account assignment. We already have the fund center. We only need to create the asset master record. Let me click on details. Sorry, but SRM is the one that is a little bit slower. So we have already the fund center and the fund that we specified, but we still need to generate the asset master record. Okay, so I'm going to select the asset master class and click on create asset master record. Okay, and the system will automatically create the asset master record. Create. All right. Okay, so now I have it. I'm going to repeat the same operation for because this is line item number 1. I need to create the asset master record for the 3 line items. So let me click on the next item to do the same for the second line item. So this is the forklift. Let me do the same thing for the ambulance. Okay. Create asset master record. Okay. And finally, let's do it for the third line item. Okay. All right. And let's create the asset master record for the third line item. That is the vehicle. Okay. So now I have it here. And let's go back to the item data, because we only specified the Incoterm for the first line item, right? So let's go back to line item number 1, and we will see that the Incoterm location and the delivery date, we only changed it for line item number 1. Okay. All right, it's very slow. Let me click again. This is number 2, and this is number 1. Oh. Okay, so this is the one we changed to XWorks Yokohama. Let's do the same for number 2. So number 2, that is okay. The ambulance. So the ambulance. Let's check the Incoterm. So the ambulance should be DAP AMMIS. So let's change it here. DAP, and the location it's AMMIS. And let's change also the delivery date. Let's put that it's going to be March, for example. And the last one, that is the 4x4. Okay, the vehicle. That one should be FCA. Okay, that one should be FCA, and the handover location should be Durban Port. So let's specify that. Durban Port, Durban Port, right? And the date. Okay, let's put also February. Okay, I don't know why it's not showing, but yeah. Okay, I cannot see the scroll down. Anyway, I just make it smaller so that I can see the. I just changed the delivery date. All right, for the third line item. So as you can see at the top, now we only have the warning, so we don't have any error message. And we mentioned already in the presentation the freight for the line freight, the freight line, sorry, the freight line. It's now only a warning message. So in production, for any type of equipment, if you are adding any equipment with XWorks or FCA in your shopping cart, the freight line it's mandatory. But with the implementation of this transportation module, freight line it's not mandatory anymore. Okay, and you will only see a warning message in SRM. Okay, so now we are ready to order this shopping cart. So we included, let's recap a little bit. So we included 3 different vehicles. So we specified the purchasing group. That is important because without the purchasing group, the materials won't go into a TM. So unless we specify purchasing group PD vehicles team, if we don't specify the proper purchasing group, the materials will not go to TM for transportation purposes. What else did we specify? We specify the delivery address. So the delivery address here for each line item, it's the field that will be used by the system to understand the final destination for each line item. So in here, we used the Matchbox to search for the delivery address for the mission. So we searched for the delivery address for AMMIS. So this delivery address is going to be the one that is used by TM to understand the final destination, the mission. And we said that we shouldn't be typing here manually. We should only be searching and looking for existing delivery addresses. What else did we say was important for TM purposes? The date, all right, the date. So in the item data, let's, I don't know why I cannot see the scroll down, scroll up. So the date that is showing here, at the bottom, the delivery date will be used to calculate all the other dates, meaning, for example, in this case that we are talking about FCA, so this date means what? This date means when Nissan will make available the vehicle at Durban Port. So this is going to be the date that will be used by the transportation management module as start date for UN to start the shipment from Durban to AMMIS. So the vendor has agreed to deliver the vehicles in Durban Port, and the vehicles will be available the 7th of February. So by that date, we can start planning the transportation from Durban to AMMIS. So the date it's important, and Incoterm and Incoterm location will also be important for transportation purposes. Okay. All right, so that was mainly for the shopping cart. So the process is the same, but there are some fields that we need to understand the impacts in TM. So let's order the shopping cart. I just clicked on order. All right. Okay, so we already sent it for approval, and now we can approve it. So let me log off and log in again as an approver. Okay. So I'm going to log off as a requisitioner, and I'm going to log in back as a certifying officer, as a shopping cart approver. All right. I didn't take note of the shopping cart, but anyway, it will appear there, I hope. Okay, so let me refresh, and it should appear. We should be finding something, a shopping cart with send date today. I just refreshed the work overview report. Okay, so I'm gonna go fast through the approval process because there are no changes. Okay, very good. Nothing there. Okay, requisition. Yeah, I used the wrong. User. Okay, this one, approver. Sorry. Okay. Let me refresh again. You are all very quiet today. All right, so here it is. It's the first line, the one that was raised today. Normally, we will click on it and review it, but I just want to approve it because in the approval process there are no changes. So I just right-click, and approve the shopping cart. So I just want to go quickly through the approval process also for the POs, because in the POs there are no changes either. So now I'm gonna log off as a certifying officer and log back again as a buyer, right? And I will try to raise the PO for that shopping cart. Okay, so I'm now logging in as a buyer. And as the shopping cart was raised using a contract, we should have already the PO created in draft status. Okay, so we should already find our shopping cart there, and the shopping cart should already have a PO related to that shopping cart status. Okay, I didn't take note again of the shopping cart number. Brian, that's not good. So maybe I will not be able to find it. Creation date, is that one? No, creation date, that's December, right? So let me remove this one, and creation date, today is the 7th, January 2019. By the way, Happy New Year to all. I didn't say anything, okay? All right, so here it is. So this is the one we just raised. All right. Happy New Year, Lily. I can see we didn't say anything from the very beginning. It's also Monday for us. We are a bit sleepy. Okay, so let's try to open the shopping cart. So we are now opening the shopping cart, and as we said, in the related documents, we should already find the PO that was created automatically by the system because we chose items from the contract catalog. So let's click on details for any of the line items. So all the 3 line items should be part of the same PO. In the related documents in the shopping cart, we will find the 22 document, right? So this is the purchase order for that shopping cart. And now I'm going to open the PO by clicking on the PO number, 22. Yes, so now we can maybe write down the PO number. Thank you, Brian. Okay, so this is the PO, and all the data is copied from the shopping cart. So everything that we mentioned in the shopping cart also applies here. What we said about the purchasing group, delivery address. In this case, we are going to be ordering the purchase order. So we don't want to mention anything else. So everything that we set for the shopping carts also applies for POs. So let's try to order the PO to move quickly to the new modules. So let's order, click on order. Okay. And there will be only one step missing, that will be the approval of the PO. Okay, so the PO was ordered. Okay. Now we can close it and log in as PO approver. Right, so the PO approver user will be the SA approver for procurement. Okay. Right. Close. Sorry if I'm going a little bit fast, but these SRM screens are the same ones you are already used to it. Okay. All right. So the last step in SRM will be to approve the PO. Same thing we did before for the shopping cart. we should be having here our PO, and I'm gonna be approving this one, the one ending with 81. Approve. All right. So now we have completed the part of that is done in SRM. Okay, so PO it's approved, and now we can move back to our presentation. So we have completed the part in SRM. Mainly we have spent most of our time in the shopping cart. All right, and we did very fast the approval process and the submission of the PO, because we want to move ahead and start talking about the new steps. Okay, before the items appear in the new module, that is TM. TM it's integrated with the existing modules via ECC. So before we move into TM, the inbound delivery needs to be created in ECC. Normally it's created automatically by the system, right? There is a batch job that creates the inbound delivery in ECC. And in that inbound delivery is where we can do the packing, right? So if we open the inbound delivery, we could use the pack functionality to specify the volume and the weight for the items that we want to transport. Because as you know, the default volumes and weights that appear in the material master are not valid, right? So in the material master, all the materials appear with 1 kilo and I think 0 cubic meters, and we need to specify the proper volume and weight in the inbound delivery by using the pack functionality, right? So this is what we mentioned in the material master. All the items will appear with weight 1 kilo and the volume will appear as 0. So we need to use the pack functionality in the inbound delivery to specify the proper weight and volume, because that's important for the freight forwarder. So if we need to ask freight forwarder to transport our vehicles, they need the proper weight and volume. And even the weight and volumes are used to calculate or to estimate the charges to transport those materials. Okay. So this is how it's how that will be done starting from the 21st of January. Okay. In future phases, they will connect the manufacturers, the vendors via ERI, and when they connect the manufacturers via ERI, Umoja will be connected to the manufacturers' systems, and they will be able to send the weights and volumes right away from their systems. So in this case that we are talking about Nissan, so in Nissan system they should already have weights and proper volumes for each vehicle, and they will be sending electronically all that information to Umoja. Okay, but that will come in a later stage. All right. So let's now connect. Yeah. Do we have any question?
Yes, we do have one. Thank you, Stefania. So I'm just reading off the chat here directly. Sorry, we inserted 2 lines with FCA. You can hear me, right? With FCA and XWorks Incoterm. Should we create other 2 shopping carts for freight cost, or they will be created in the procure freight phase?
Yeah. So the shopping cart for the freights will be done at a later stage. Okay, there will be basically one shopping cart for freight for each transportation requirement. Okay, so in this case that we are talking about two different lines, right? One for the because we have three different lines, one DAP that there will be no freight forwarder needed, right? Because the Nissan will deliver the vehicles directly to the missions, and then we have one line that was FCA and another one that was XWorks. So those two lines will require freight, and UN can decide to assign or to grant those two transportation requirements to the same freight forwarder, or to have different freight forwarders for those two transportation requirements. Okay, so now that we only raised the shopping cart for the goods, okay, so we need to go through the other processes, and you will be able to understand at what stage will the shopping carts for the freight be raised. Okay, because at this stage we only did it for the goods and we didn't worried about the freight. Okay, so right now we only requested the Nissan to deliver the goods. And then depending on the Incoterm, if the UN is responsible for the transportation or not, we will need to plan the transportation and later on procure the freight using the freight forwarders. Okay, so I think it will be clear once we go through the process. All right. So let's do this inbound delivery and packing fastly in the system. So we now need to connect into ECC. So we did the SRM part. So I'm now going to open ECC because we need to create the inbound deliveries. Okay, normally the inbound deliveries are created automatically by the system, but in training environment, as you very well know, it doesn't work that way. So what we are going to be creating the inbound deliveries manually. Okay, so let me show to you the ECC screen. I'm going to be using one of the inbound coordinators roles. All right. Okay. So in here, if I use ME23N to look for the PO, and I think, Brian, you took note of the PO number, right? So let me change the PO. So it was 22 what? 000 9 8 7 8 1. So this is the PO that we just ordered from Nissan, 3 different lines, right? In confirmations tab, in the confirmations tab, we should be seeing here the inbound delivery, right? So this is if the batch job for the inbound delivery was run properly. At this stage, we should already see here the inbound delivery, but it wasn't done automatically. So we are going to be doing that manually. Okay, so I'm going to be using VL34 T code, okay, to generate the inbound deliveries for that PO number. So I'm going to be specifying the PO, delivery date, and let's do a test run first. And the simulation says that 3 inbound deliveries were determined, meaning that the system will create 3 inbound deliveries. Basically, because we used 3 different Incoterms, and also even the delivery date was different. So even if we have only one shopping cart, one PO, as we use 3 different Incoterms, the system will generate 3 different inbound deliveries. Let's remove the test run flag and let's create test run. Right, and the system will create the 3 inbound deliveries. Okay, so in here we have the numbers, and even though we don't take note of the numbers will also appear right in the confirmation. So if we go here and we change, right, so in the confirmations, the new inbound deliveries will appear there, so we always have the related documents to our PO. And these inbound deliveries are the ones we need to use in order to do packing. Remember, if we want to specify the proper weight and volume for those items, we need to do that in the inbound delivery. So we can do that by clicking on the inbound delivery. Okay. So if we click on the inbound delivery will open. Okay. In display mode, we need to change it to update mode to do the packing. And from there, we can do pack. We can use the pack functionality to perform packing. Okay, so this is nothing that is new. So it was already available in production, but it's a functionality they should be using in order to specify the weight and volume for the goods. Okay, because if they don't do that, the weight and volume will be wrong. So they cannot change the weight and volume for the items. They have to pack the materials. They have to pack the vehicles into a packaging material. Okay, and once they have completed the packing, they will be able to specify or to change the weight and volume. So in this case, I'm going to be doing that quickly, right? So they can select the material type. Okay, so in this case, material type, let me select ZPAM, right? That is the packaging material, right? So I want to look for all the packaging materials available in the system, and I think they want to create a new one for vehicles, just to indicate that will be the one that will be used to pack vehicles. So let me see which are the ones that are existing in the system. Okay, so these are all packaging materials. I can use boxes, bags. I can use any of those packaging materials to do packing. Okay. Even packaging paper. So let's use the crate or or let's use a container. We can even use containers to put several vehicles, right? So that will be the packaging material, and then I can select packaging material and the item, and to do packing and to use packing, and the system will automatically pack the material inside that packaging material, and in the pack handling unit, I will be able to specify the weight. All right. Total weight, I can specify. If I want to change it, they will be able to change it here, right? And the same thing for the volumes. Okay, so the volumes, they can specify the volumes here, and they can even specify the length, width, and height for the vehicle. In this case, we are talking about a container, so they should be specifying the volume for that type of container, right? So that will be the way to pack the material and to basically to specify the weights and volumes for that item. Okay, so let me save it, and they should do that for the different items. Okay, so now I have completed the part of the inbound delivery. All right, and at this stage we completed the part of ECC, and we should have already a DTR automatically created by the system and the freight units created by the system in TM. Okay. So I think we can do a 5 minutes break, because it's going to be a 2-hour WebEx. So if you don't mind, we could do 5 minutes break and we start over again at 10 past 10, and we continue directly because all the other steps will be in TM. All right, so let's do a 5 minutes break and we continue at 10 past 10. Thank you. welcome back. All right, so let's continue. I hope that you can hear me again. Okay, I hope you had a few minutes break. Okay, so this session it's meant to be 2 hours, and the part that we went through at the beginning of this session, the procure part, it's the one that is in a way different, okay, because the other part, the plan, procure, freight, execute, and monitor, is going to be reviewed again in the sessions that we have tomorrow for COE and troops. Okay, the part we saw see this is for UNOE and doesn't apply for COE and troops. But the concept that we are going to be explaining now about how to plan the transportation, how the freight is procured, and also the events that are tracked in the carrier collaboration portal, we will review them also tomorrow and on Wednesday in the COE and the troops session. Okay, all right. So we just did the packing, and let's start logging in TM, in the transportation management module, to see what happened automatically, what happened when the inbound deliveries were created in ECC. Right. So let me log in TM. Right. TM. Even if I'm gonna be logging in through the something similar to ECC. Okay, you can see that the SAP logon path, this one, looks very similar to ECC. All right, but I'm just using that one to launch the portal. Okay, and in production, this portal will be available as a link in the Umoja production page. Okay, so users will reach automatically this screen, this SAP NetWeaver business client, and just by clicking on a link in the SAP production page, in the normal page they use for to connect to the portal or to ECC. So that's the home page for the SAP TM module. And from here, basically, we have 3 tabs. Okay, this ERP logistics integration tab, the freight order management tab, and the planning tab. Okay. So in this case, we want to start by reviewing what happened once the inbound deliveries were created in ECC, and this is what is called the integration with the ERP logistics with ECC. I'm gonna click in the ERP logistics integration, and I'm gonna be using the overview of transportation requirements, because as we said during the WebEx, all right, so let's go back to our presentation. As we said in our WebEx, once an inbound delivery is created, the system will automatically create the DTRs and the freight units, and will be available automatically in the transportation management module. Okay, so the DTR is like the replication of the inbound delivery in TM, and then the freight unit, it's the representation of the goods we want to transport. Okay, and there is always one-to-one relationship, meaning for each inbound delivery, we will always have 1 DTR and 1 freight unit. So in this case, in our PO, the system created, if you remember well, created 3 inbound deliveries. That means that we will have 3 DTRs and 3 freight units. So if we look for our PO in TM, so if we look for our PO, we will see 3 different DTRs. So we can use the customer PO number to look back again to our PO. Do we remember, Brian, the PO? So it was 200098781, right? So this was our PO. So let's apply to look for all the DTRs that are related. All right. Customer PO. All right. Apply. All right. Okay. It's 22000987881. Customer. All right. Change query. One second. Zero one. I'm just checking the user. UNOE. Right. Overview. Customer. Okay, let's see what everything that was created today. Created on 019. Apply. All right. Okay. So all these three inbound deliveries. Okay. So let's. So these three DTRs were created today. So let's try to open one of them to see if they relate to our PO, the one we just raised. Okay. Let's try to open the first one. And in here, it's like in SRM, and we can use the links to open the different documents. Okay, and we have different tabs. So we have different tabs. At the bottom, we have the items. Okay, so we always have the items at the bottom. So in this case, we are talking about the forklift, and we have the product ID, the volumes. Remember that these volumes are the ones that we can modify by using the packing. Okay, and in this case, you can see that there is a handling unit. So this forklift is the one we packed in the container, right? So remember that we specified 30,000 as the weight for the handling unit. So this definitely is the one that we that we changed. You will be able to see that for all the other ones, the two other ones will not be packed in a handling unit. So we only did that for the forklift, and that's why it appears as part of the handling unit. So we can see here the Incoterms. So the forklift works with the XWorks Incoterm, and the Incoterm location is Yokohama port. So many data from the PO and the inbound delivery is copied automatically in this DTR number. If we go to the Business Partner tab, you can see that the shipper is the manufacturer, right, Nissan, and the consignee is the final destination, right, is the AMMIS. So in the Business Partner, you will be able to see the different BPs. For example, you cannot see yet here the carrier, because we haven't started the transportation for that DTR. The locations and dates, you can have the source, so it goes from the factory, from the Nissan factory up to Miss Juba, and in here is when it comes into place the delivery address we used in SRM. So when we specify the delivery address in SRM, that delivery address is used to retrieve the final destination in here, in TM. Okay, so we specified Miss Juba, and that's how the system understood that destination. Okay. In the document flow, we can see all the related documents. So we can see, now we are looking at the DTR document, a delivery-based transportation requirement, and the DTR numbering starts with the 11, and this is what we can see here. As predecessor document, we have the inbound delivery. So this DTR relates to this inbound delivery 18. That is a document from ECC. And the successor document is the freight unit. So this 41 number, it's the freight unit. So automatically the system created the DTR document and the freight unit. Okay. Then we have other tabs, notes, blocking information that are not really meaningful. Okay. You can have a look at the different tabs, but basically, general data, business partner, locations, and document flow are the main ones for the DTRs. In the freight unit, if we click on the freight unit document in the 41, I'm going to click here, and you will see that the system opens a new screen. So we always have the different screens. So at the back, we have the DTR, and in front, we have the freight unit. So this freight unit that relates to the DTR. And if we go to the DTR, if we go to the freight unit, we can see that we have, again, a lot of tabs with different information. All right, so in the general data, we'll see different details. Okay, very similar to the DTR, but with more information. Okay, so in the freight unit, we have the general data. In the business partner, we have not only the shipper and the consignee, but we already have the place for the carrier, even if at this stage it's still empty. But the freight unit is the document in TM that will be used to plan the transportation. So freight units are the different items that needs to be transported from origin to destination. We can combine different freight units and ship them together, but the freight units is like the minimum amount of items that need to be transported together. So normally we will never split a freight unit and ship the freight unit separately, but we will always ship the entire freight unit together from origin to destination. In the document flow, we have, again, the as predecessor documents, the inbound delivery and the DTR. We have attachments. Okay. We will talk more about the attachments and the execution tab later on, because the attachments and the execution tab will be used to exchange information between TM and the carrier collaboration portal. All right. So this is only for one of the items, right? This only applies to, let's see, let's see what type of item we are talking about. We are talking about the forklift. So this is the forklift, and remember, we have 3 different DTRs, one for each item, because there is a DTR and a freight unit for each inbound delivery. So if we go back to our overview, where we have the different items, the different DTRs and the different freight units, we can see that 2 of them, the status, 2 of them are in planning, and 1 of them is already planned. Why is that? Because the one in the middle, the one ending with the 88, should be the one related to DAP. So in the case of DAP, UN is not responsible for transporting anything. So the system, it's already planning automatically that freight unit, and Nissan in this case will be responsible for the transportation. So in this case, this ambulance, that was the one with a DAP Incoterm. If we look at the general data, DAP Incoterm, we will be able to see that in the business partner, we have the shipper and the consignee. But in the document flow, we will not only see the DTR and the freight unit. We will see already that the system created 3 different freight orders. Freight orders are the documents in the system that are used to indicate the route, to indicate the different legs in the transportation. So the system already created the freight orders to indicate the different legs in the transportation. Let's look at this information in the freight unit. So I'm going to be clicking in the freight unit, and you will understand better those freight orders. Okay, so I just click on the freight unit, and in the stages tab, you can see again these freight orders, but they are a little bit more understandable. So first freight order is the leg from the from the factory to Yokohama port. Second leg is from Yokohama port to Mombasa port, and third leg is from Mombasa port to Ammis. So the system automatically created 3 freight orders with the route. Okay, and I think we can even see that in a map. If we use the map, I think the system, let's cross fingers, so the system will indicate the route. So from the factory, from Yokohama, so in here we have the first leg, right, from the factory to Yokohama port, and then from Yokohama port to Mombasa port, and then from Mombasa port to Ammis. So in here we have 3 different legs for the shipment. Okay, and that is available in the freight unit. What else? In the business partner, we will see that the carrier, let's see, this is the general data. Okay, all right. So we have again the carrier. All right. The status is it's already planned. Status is already planned, and so for the DAP, no need to do the planning manually. Okay, so if we go back to our presentation, just not to get confused with the end-to-end process, we saw that automatically the system in TM created the DTRs and the freight units. And then if we are talking about planning, okay, just to do the planning of the transportation, the goods vendor stage, the planning of the goods vendor stage is done automatically. So in the case of the DAP, the system will create automatically the freight orders. So Umoja will do that planning automatically. Umoja will assign automatically the carrier to the assigned freight orders, okay? And if we want to change the route manually, we can always go and change it manually. But the freight orders have been automatically created by the system. So we already saw in the case of the ambulance that was DAP that the goods vendor stage was automatically created by the system. And if in the case of the FCA that we didn't open, so let's have a look at the FCA. Okay, so that is the last one. So let's open the last one, that is the FCA. In the case of the FCA, okay, so for FCA, the Nissan is responsible for the transportation from the factory to Durban port, and from Durban onwards is going to be UN. So if we open the freight unit, let's click on the freight unit number, and if we go to the stages tab, okay, you will get more familiar with the system. Okay, so I'm navigating quite fast, but we will be repeating the same thing today, tomorrow, and on Wednesday. So we hope that by Friday you will get more familiar with the system and also with the practical exercises you will do. So in the stages tab in the freight unit for the FCA, you will see that stage, the first two legs from factory to Yokohama, and from Yokohama to Durban. So remember that Durban was the handover location in the Incoterm. So up to Durban, everything has been planned automatically by the system. And from Durban to Ammis, it's not planned. So it's the stage for which UN is responsible to do the transportation from Durban to the final destination, and that's why the system didn't do the planning. That's what we wanted to highlight here. So in the planning, the goods vendor stage is automatically done by the system. So for DAP, the whole stage is done by the system. For FCA, the first part that is managed by the manufacturer is automatically planned by the system. And the second stage, that is the one that UN is responsible for, has to be done manually. Okay. All right. So this is the part of the goods vendor that we said is done automatically. And for the freight forwarder, the TM planner will need to do the planning manually. So the planner will have to select the freight units from the transportation cockpit, select the best transportation proposal. The system will calculate the charge estimates, and by using that transportation proposal, the system will create the freight orders. So the planning for the freight forwarder stage has to be done manually. That's why if we have a look at the freight unit for the FCA, that stage is not done automatically. So we need to plan that part from Durban to Ammis. We need to plan that one manually. So how do we do that planning? In order to do that planning, we need to go to the planning tab. So we click on the planning and we go to the transportation cockpit. We open the transportation cockpit, and from here is from where we can do the planning. Okay, and we have different layouts. So basically, these layouts are used to filter the freight units that we want to be planning. So if we want to plan the freight units for X-Works, we will use this one, okay, the UNOE X-Works. If we want to be planning the one for FCA, we need to be selecting UNOE non-DAP, non-X-Works freight forwarder stage. Okay, so basically the planning we do manually, we either do it for the X-Works or for the freight forwarder stage for non-DAP X-Works, right? That this non-DAP X-Works is the one in our example being FCA. So let's try to do that, the one for the FCA. We are going to be selecting that one. I will be clicking on continue. And the system will show all the different freight units that are FCA. So in here on the left, so we have different tabs in this transportation cockpit. And basically, we need to be focusing on the left top part, that are the different freight units that are pending planning. Okay, so we have the freight unit number, loading location, and the earliest loading date. So in here we can use it to select our freight or our freight unit. So if we go back to our freight unit, so it's the 761 is the one for in our example for the FCA. So we can try to look, is the last one here. So we can do the transportation for one, or if we want to ship together, same source, same destination, and similar transportation dates. If we want to ship together several freight units, we can select several freight units. Okay, so for example, these two appearing here, same loading location and similar dates, only 2 days of difference, right? So we could try to ship those two handling units together. If we select those two and create transportation proposals, the system will try to ship those freight units together so that we optimize the transportation. In our example, let's try to ship the one we just created. So how we can do the planning for that freight unit? So we will click on transportation proposals, and the system, based on the transportation network, based on the different routes available from Durban port to AMMIS, the system will show to us the different options available to ship that freight unit from Durban to AMMIS. Okay. So in here we can see the different proposals, right? So we have proposal 1, so we can maximize and minimize each of them. And in each proposal we can see the freight unit. So in this case we requested the system only to plan one freight unit, but if we try to ship together several freight units, the system will display all the different freight units here, and we can see the different stages. So even the stage that is responsibility of the manufacturer, for example, stage 1 and 2, from factory to Durban, we said it was Nissan responsibility, right? They are showing there, but they are showing in the screen without this icon here, without this green check mark, meaning that that these 2 legs are already planned, and we are not planning those legs here, but they are appearing just for reference. What we are planning are the ones appearing with the icon. So we are planning, if we select the first proposal, we are trying to ship the items from Durban to Durban Airport, from Durban Airport to Juba Airport, and from Juba Airport to AMMIS. So we are shipping the items by flight. But we can review the different options. We can review the distance, the duration, and even the cost. Okay, so the cost is just they are not dollars, not any currency. It's just an internal calculation for you to grade which ones are more expensive or if they are cheaper. Okay, so let's try to sort by cost and let's see which one has a lower cost. So proposal number 7 is the one with a lower cost, and if we have a look at the proposal, it will try to ship the items via sea from Durban to Mombasa, from Mombasa to Amis. Okay, so I think that one could make sense for our shipment. So the way to accept or to select that proposal, proposal number 7, will be to flag the transportation proposal number 7 and click on accept planning. And by clicking on accept planning, the system will create the 2 freight orders. Okay, so at this stage they haven't been created yet. We need to save. So at this stage we can still undo the planning again. But if we save the proposal, the system will create the freight orders, meaning that if we select each of them in here at the lower part, we will be able to see the details. Okay, so this is the freight order number and so on. And if we go back to our screen, this was the screen that was showing the freight unit. If we refresh this one, the system will display here stage 3 and stage 4 for the new 2 freight orders that we have manually planned for that freight unit. So let's click on refresh, and the system will display here the 2 freight orders that we have just created from Durban to Mombasa and from Mombasa to Amis. Okay, so these 2 stages these 2 legs are the ones that we have just created. So we have done the planning manually. If we look at the business partner, we will be able to see, refresh. This was showing here as dummy carrier, right, before? Okay. All right, I was expecting here to display carrier. So at this stage, we don't know which freight forwarder, right, will be awarded with this shipment. Okay, so the system was supposed to indicate here dummy carrier, but I don't know why it's not displaying as dummy carrier. But anyway, the status will be planned. Okay, we have already completed the planning, and in the execution, sorry, in the execution status, no, sorry, it's in the freight order, right? Okay, so maybe I'm getting confused with maybe the carrier will appear in the freight order. Yeah. So let's click on the document flow. So in the document flow, we can see the different documents created for this freight unit. Okay, so we have 2 freight orders that are vendor delivered, meaning delivered by Nissan for the first 2 legs, meaning from the factory to the Yokohama port and from Yokohama port to Durban port. And then we have 2 legs that are responsibility of UN from Durban to Mombasa and from Mombasa to Amis. So that's why we have 4 in total, 2 done by Nissan, 2 done by UN by using a freight forwarder. So if we click on the freight order, let's click on the freight order for one that is responsibility of UN. All right, so this is the freight order starting with the 61, and in here, yeah, in here in the business partner is where we can see that the carrier is the dummy one. Okay, sorry, I'm still in Christmas mode. I forgot everything during Christmas. All right, so we have the carrier that is dummy because we haven't done yet the freight procurement. So once we know who is going to be taking over this shipment, we need to indicate it here in the freight order. We can see the items the stages, right? So we can see all the different details. So in this case, this leg, this freight order is like each of the different legs in the shipment. Okay, so this particular freight order refers to the leg from Durban to Mombasa. Okay, all right, and in the statuses we can see that basically the execution status will indicate if that freight order is available in the carrier collaboration portal for submission of events. But we will later on talk about that one once we see the carrier collaboration portal. Okay. So we have done this part. We have done we have used the cockpit to create the proposals and to create the freight orders. But at this stage, we don't have yet the freight forwarder, so we still have the dummy carrier as the freight forwarder. And the system can be used to create this scope of work document. So this scope of work document is the one that can be used to initiate the freight procurement process. So this scope of work document can be created from the planned freight orders. So if we go to the planned freight orders, this is the planned freight order we did. If we go to the output management, we can create this scope of work document that is a PDF stating the different requirements for the transportation. So we click on the document preview, and this is the document that is used to initiate the freight. Okay, so we have the different freight orders, and this is a business document that is used by procurement division to initiate the request for the freight services. Okay, so in here you have the different items, the source and destination. Okay, so this is the source document to initiate the freight requisitioning. Okay, so this is the scope of work document, and with that SOW document, all right. Okay, so this is the same screens we have been talking about. You have them here for reference. With that scope of work document, the procurement of freight is done the same way it's done currently. So it's done in SRM by creating a shopping cart for freight that has to be approved, and then the RFX will be created. So the scope of work document is attached in the shopping cart for freight as reference. Offline, we'll have the solicitation process, and once the freight forwarder has been awarded, we will create the purchase order to get those services from that freight forwarder, and that PO will be approved. So this freight procurement process is the same as we currently have in the system. The only thing that is changing is that once we have the awarded freight forwarder, we will need to specify the freight forwarder in the freight order. So let's say that the freight forwarder has been Kuehne+Nagel. So we did all the solicitation part, and we have awarded the shipment to Kuehne+Nagel. Then we will need to go in TM to assign the carrier and to indicate the freight PO number to that freight order. Okay, and we can even change the route, change the dates and the charges. So let's say that we specified that the route was going to be through Mombasa, and let's say that the freight forwarder indicates that the best route is not going to be via Mombasa port, but they are going to be shipping the items directly from Durban to to Juba, let's say via or using a truck. Okay, so the planner should be able to change the route and to change the dates directly in TM. Okay. All right. So how can we do that part? How can we assign the carrier and indicate the PO number? All right. So in here we have the freight order. We can do that by using the freight order management. So far we have used the ERP logistic integration tab to look for the DTRs and the freight units, and the planning for the transportation cockpit. In the freight order management, we can try to look for the freight orders that have been created, that we have created via the transportation cockpit. Okay. And all right. And let's try to do that by what do we know from the freight order? We know, for example, document flow. We know, for example, the inbound delivery, right? 18007543. So let's try to look by inbound delivery. All right, change query. Change query. And let's see if we can specify the inbound delivery. Yeah. So we can even specify the PO or the inbound delivery. So it was 180075 433. And in here we should find the four freight orders that are related to that inbound delivery. So we have 2 that are vendor delivered and 2 that are UN delivered. So this document type represents the type of freight order. In this case, we want to assign the carrier, assign the freight forwarder to the ones that are vendor delivered, that are the ZF01, the ones that are from Durban to Mombasa and from Mombasa to AMBIS. So in order to select the carrier, so let's say that the solicitation process already completed and we know that Kuehne+Nagel has been awarded the freight. So we could select the 2 freight orders, and in the subcontracting we have the option to assign the carrier and indicate the freight PO. So in here we will indicate the business partner for the freight forwarder and the freight PO number. So let me retrieve the BP for Kuehne+Nagel. I have it here. Okay. I can also use the matchbox. So this is going to be the one for Kuehne+Nagel. And in here, you will indicate the PO that was used for the freight. Okay. So it should be 22. You cannot, TM is not integrated with SRM. So this one is a free text that you need to indicate here for the, let's say that it was number 1. Okay, we are using that one for our example. So in here, you should be indicating the PO number of your freight that you use for your freight, the one that that we explained here. Okay, so if we go back to our slide, so the freight PO, that number is the one you have to specify in the assigned carrier freight PO. We click on OK, and automatically the system will assign that carrier. So if now we go back again to our freight order, so this is the freight order. If we go back again to our business partner, the business partner will not be any longer dummy, but will be Kuehne+Nagel. So if we refresh, we can see that is no longer dummy, but is Kuehne+Nagel the carrier for that freight order, meaning that Kuehne+Nagel will be able to connect to the carrier collaboration portal and submit the related events. And how can we know that? If we go to the statuses, execution not started, refresh. So this execution should become, after we assign the carrier, this execution status should become ready for execution transportation. Otherwise, the freight order will not be available in the carrier collaboration portal. So let's try to refresh. Okay. All right. If it doesn't change automatically, we will do it manually. But as we said, once we assign the carrier, this execution status should change from not started to ready for transportation execution. So let's go back to our slides. We have completed the freight procurement, and we have updated the PO and the carrier. We didn't change the route and charges, but it can also be done in the freight order. So if the route changed, you can also change the route in the freight order. Now we are gonna be having a look at the execution and monitoring. So in the execution and monitoring, in this case, our vendor was Nissan, right? So in the case of DAP or in the case of FCA, Nissan will be able to connect to the carrier collaboration portal and submit events and upload attachments. Those events and attachments that are submitted by Nissan can be seen by UN directly in TM, and UN can also update events or submit other attachments. Okay, and that's for the stage of the goods vendor, and the same thing applies for the freight forwarder stage. So Kuehne+Nagel will be able to submit events and attachments, and those events and attachments submitted by Kuehne+Nagel via the carrier collaboration portal will be seen in TM by the UN staff. Okay, and we are going to be connecting to the carrier collaboration portal to see how those events are reported. But before we connect to CCP, I think we have a question. Stefani is asking about the it's asking about the RFX, right? The RFX for the freight. Okay, if the RFX needs to be created even if the shopping cart is funded. All right, so the RFX and the that part it remains as it is right now. So if it's not required at this stage, nothing is changing in terms of shopping cart funded, unfunded RFX. So what you have here in this screen is just a summary, but nothing is changing. So the process for freight procurement is the same one that you already know. The only thing that we wanted to explain to you is that after the freight procurement, we need to go into TM and assign carrier and indicate the freight PO. But Stefania, no changes in the part of SRM to procure the freight. Okay, the only thing is that currently the shopping cart or the line for the freight is done or is included together with the goods, but now the freight services will be included in a separate shopping cart. Okay. All right. So let's see the card collaboration portal. Okay. Let me connect to the card collaboration portal. Okay. So this is the login page for the card collaboration portal, and each vendor will have their own user account. So external vendors will be granted access to the card collaboration portal, and I'm gonna be logging in as Nissan, for example, to see the events for the goods vendor stage. So they will have their own user account, and they will connect to the to CCP. So this is the transportation collaboration portal, and they will see how many freight orders they have available. So in this case that we are talking about Nissan, so once they receive the documentation related to the goods PO, as the goods vendor stage is automatically planned, so they can always come here and look for the freight PO, and they can use the PO number to filter. Okay, so if we scroll to the right, so these are all the freight orders for Nissan to report events, and they can filter by PO number. If we scroll to the right, but I cannot scroll to the right. Here, sorry. Okay, so in here we have the goods PO. So if I type our freight PO, that was 22000. What else? Sorry, Ryan, you have the the goods PO. So we have in this case we are reporting events for Nissan, right? So I need to specify the goods PO 998781. Thank you, Brian. So these are all the freight orders that are related to our purchase order. So we have more than two, because remember that we have in the case of we should have the 3 legs for the DAP and then the 2 legs for the FCA. Okay, how can we know the vehicle, the items? Okay, all right. And they can submit events directly in the freight order. So in this case, this one is from Mombasa to Juba, right? So the first one is for sure the one that has to do with the DAP, because it's Nissan is transporting the item directly to Juba. And the second one appearing is from the factory to Yokohama to Mombasa. Okay, so the Nissan will be able to submit events by clicking on the freight order and submitting the events here. Okay, let's try to see which was the freight order, because we have here, this is the freight order. Okay, so we are going to be submitting events in the 5305. Okay, so this is the one for the freight forwarder. 1 second. I want to show to you how those events reflect into TM. So I'm going to be opening, for example, this one, that is one that Nissan should be submitting reports, 282 or 283. So this freight order is vendor delivered, is ready for transportation execution, okay, and the business partner should be Nissan, right? So the carrier is Nissan. So this 25283 should appear for Nissan to report events, 25283. So this is the same one. We are seeing at the same freight order. This is Carrier Collaboration Portal, and this is TM. So in the execution tab in TM, we can see that nothing has been reported yet. That's why you can see the status here as nothing has been reported, right? The actual date hasn't been reported yet for the loading begin. But now if Nissan goes there and indicates that the loading has started, okay, for that freight order, let's say that they have done the loading today at let's say 10, okay, and we submit as Nissan that event. So after submitting the event, okay, so Nissan has indicated that the loading has been completed for that freight order. If we refresh the same information in TM, so the previous screen, this screen is done by Nissan, and this screen is seen by UN. If we refresh this screen, we should be seeing that the loading has been completed, the actual date and the actual time. So that will be the way to report events and seeing those reports, seeing those events in TM and in CCP. Okay. Same thing applies for attachments. So not only events, they can also upload attachments, and the same attachments will be seen in the attachments tab in TM. Okay. Yeah, and the notes. So thank you, Brian. So they can submit events, they can submit attachments, and they can even submit notes. We are about to finish this session. Okay. How can I save it? A note. All right. So these notes are also displayed here. Oh, we are about to finish. No? Here? Yeah. Okay. So these notes are also readable from the TM in the notes. So it's also a way to communicate between the vendor and the UN. Okay, so they can send attachments, events, and notes. All right. I think we went very fast, but in 2 hours, I mean, it's not a difficult process, but it's a long one. And the good thing is that at least the plan part, the procure freight, and the execution monitor, we will be repeating kind of same things tomorrow and on Wednesday. So we will have more time to go through the different details. But at least you have an overview of the different screens, documents, and also the different transactions. Okay. We will be sending to you today one exercise so that you can log in SRM, submit the shopping cart, the same thing that we did in the demo, so that you can do it by yourself, and it's going to be the best way for you to get used to the system and to understand the different documents. Okay, so we will be sending to you that one today. So after each WebEx session, we will send to you an exercise, and for questions, comments, just contact us. Okay. All right. So I think that was it. You know where we are. So in case of questions, you can always call us. It was a tough Monday after Christmas. Thank you, Maristela. So thank you all, and have a nice day, and see you tomorrow.